Oh my God, Anita. Oh my God, Anita.
Hello, I am Willie Bragg. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I hope each and every one of you doing well today. Today we're going to discuss the 2024 election and what's going to go on the Republican side, because a lot of people think that Donald Trump is going to run and it's going to be a foregone conclusion that he's going to steamroll all over the other Republicans running, if there are other Republicans running in the primaries. And it's understandable to think that right now as it stands, but he is not all powerful as people think he is. And there is still a large segment of the Republican Party, or a sizable segment of the Republican Party, that hates his guts. And that is actually the honest truth in that regard. Excuse me, just trying to get everything set up here. So some of the other contenders are names that we're familiar with. I mean, there are names floating around like Nikki Haley of South Carolina. It's been floating around. Names like Chris Christie of New Jersey. We keep hearing names like that. Ted Cruz may be throwing his hat into the ring. There's going to be a lot of people that we never heard of before throwing their hats into the ring. Rick DeSantis is likely to throw his hat into the ring, especially since he and Donald Trump are not exactly chummy at the moment. And, of course, former Vice President Mike Pence may be jumping into the race. Now, I have my theories that the Republicans are going to try very hard for Donald Trump not to be the nominee, the establishment, because there's a sizable number of them that see him as an albatross and see him as very destructive. and there's a large section that worship the ground he walks on. So he's a very divisive, controversial, and polarizing figure. As a general rule, we all know that. But Mike Pence is an interesting one because Mike Pence was chosen as Donald Trump's running mate in 2016 because Donald Trump, when he was running as a populist, a lot of evangelicals were not too sure about him. They love him now, but they weren't too sure of him in 2016 because, he has moderate baggage on him that the other Republicans were very, the other Republicans seem to be a little more, what's the term? They cater more toward the evangelicals than, let's say, the other, than, let's say, Donald Trump would on issues like God, gays, and guns. And Mike Pence was like a culture warrior that would actually meet that criteria. He met the criteria of the secular neocons, the people that love to bomb other countries and ask questions later. He met the criteria of the corporatists and the free trade people, because Mike Pence is pretty much just, he is really just another policy wonk, obnoxious Republican, in some ways more conservative than Donald Trump with the mousy demeanor. And so he was strategically chosen to be the running mate, and almost kind of insurance policy in that regard. And then there was a rift because of he wouldn't go along with Trump with the trying to put a stop to the election, the election regarding on January 6th, the election, the process where he certifies that Joe Biden is the duly elected president of the United States to be sworn in. And a lot of right-wingers, a lot of the crazies that stormed the Capitol were saying things like, hang Mike Pence, to the point where some liberals are kind of like, well, he was a cut above the fray and all this sort of thing. And again, just like with Liz Cheney and just like with George W. Bush, people like John Bolton, I have to warn the liberals, do not let your Trump derangement syndrome cloud your judgment about people you would have considered your enemy 10 years ago. I have to keep repeating myself. The enemy of your enemy is not always going to be your friend. I have to repeat this over and over and over again. Every bloody time is most disconcerting. So I will go and tell you about Mike Pence. Mike Pence is a social conservative, raised Roman Catholic. He's evangelical Christian now, I guess like a Protestant non-denominational Christian, and deeply socially conservative, very pro life on abortion, family values, not particularly keen on gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer rights. Talking a lot about this. It is Pride Month. And that issue, and some people now kind of know this, that apparently he sought counseling at a younger age, what is conversion therapy, where you can pray the gay away. And apparently it was something that he struggled with. And apparently it saved his marriage between he and his wife in that regard. Someone like that running for president in the Republican primary would be very interesting because, a gay person running for president, it's been done before. It's been done. Hold on a second here. Sorry about that. Give me a moment. Give you an example. In year 1980, the Socialist Party USA, I'm proud to say, the Socialist Party USA nominated the first out of the closet gay man to run for president, the late David McReynolds, and he was the first out of the closet gay man. He ran again in the year 2000. I met David McReynolds a couple of times when I was in the Socialist Party USA. He was a great man. He's done a lot of good things with regard to the anti-war movement and all of that. And he never, with regard to his homosexuality, what have you, it was never been anything that was central to his identity. He never really, he just knew he was, and he was very, as a matter of fact, about it. But the thing about it is that when it comes down to policy, Mike Pence has terrible policies regarding regardless of his sexual orientation, and David McReynolds had great policy regardless of his sexual orientation. So there is that in the year 2020, and we all know that in the year 2020 that Pete Buttigieg became the first Democratic Party candidate to run for president as an out of the closet gay man. And again, policy triumphs identity. I don't care if he's gay. What I care about is his policy. Now, I'll give him credit that of all the corporate Democrats that were running into 2020 primaries on policy, he was better than the rest of them, but he was not better. I mean, he was not better than Bernie Sanders, who had the best policy on economics and everything. He wasn't better on foreign policy than Tulsi Gabbard, who that was her specialty. And even though I'm very angry with her, he was not better than even Elizabeth Warren on some issues. And I'm pretty angry with Elizabeth Warren. But was he better than, let's say, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Beto O'Rourke or any of those folks? He was on policy. But still, he's another politician who's just focused on getting elected and seeking political office for the sake of seeking political office. That has nothing to do with him being gay. It has all to do with him being a human being that's seeking political office. And when you're seeking political office, you have an ego. So that brings us to the Republican side of the equation. Mike Pence, once again, Mike Pence is planning, probably more than likely, to run in the Republican primaries in the year 2024. And maybe if he didn't have his pass, because we know about the party, the Republican Party, maybe if he didn't have the pass that he had, he might have a shot at getting the nomination. This is not a criticism on my part about his quote unquote homosexual pass. I only feel sorry that he felt the compulsion to seek the therapy because, people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, what have you, they're human beings and ought to be treated as equal and not to be maligned and not to be treated as subhuman or anything. I mean, so if he wanted to do that, I guess that's on him. But really, the fact that he loaded himself and hated himself so much that he went and sought therapy, I guess one could feel sorry for him in that regard. But his self-loading on policy made him a terrible person because of the Religion Restoration Act as the governor of Indiana, which basically gave rights for people to discriminate against the LGBTQ community. And it's not just the issue of LGBTQ community, it's all the other policies. He was the governor of Indiana when Indiana initiated the right to work laws in the state of Indiana. And you know where I stand on labor. And when I stand on labor and all of that, that makes him very unacceptable. If anything, of all things that makes Mike Pence unacceptable for office, like the presidency, his stand on labor alone is strong. It's just good enough reason to reject him. So this is what we're dealing with in regard to the Republican primaries in the year 2024. He will not get the nomination, and anybody thinking that he has an earshot of it, they're delusional. I don't think that Donald Trump will get the nomination for a variety of reasons. I think that the Republican Party is going to go and the establishment is going to find a way for him not to. They will either rig the process, they'll bribe him, or Donald Trump himself. I mean, the man is in his 70s. The man does not have a good personal health habits. He's overweight. He's doesn't take care of himself. He eats junk food. I am not making fun of him. It's a fact of life. You do this sort of thing, especially in the age that he's at and everything, and he's going to have complications since he had COVID. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he was due to his physical condition not able to run, or if he, not wishing this on anybody, if he had a heart attack or stroke and died or something like that, because that could happen too. And that's another point right there. So I don't think that I don't think that Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee in the year 2024. I also do not think that Mike Pence will be the nominee in 2024. Unfortunately, I think that Ron DeSantis has a very strong shot of it. And so when it comes to issues like that, and anybody who's known me long enough will know my position on Ron DeSantis. And Ron DeSantis is a very special case because I have said that everything that I have despised about George W. Bush, you can find in Ron DeSantis. Everything you can find about Mike Pence, minus his struggling past as a homosexual, you can find in Ron DeSantis. And everything that's true and even untrue from a liberal perspective about everything they hated about Donald Trump that was exaggerated to begin with, you will find in Ron DeSantis, which makes Ron DeSantis the Republican candidate that would be the most dangerous in this country. I am warning each and every one of you, Ron DeSantis is more dangerous than anybody else running. He's probably the most dangerous person running. He's smarter than Donald Trump. He's more competent than Donald Trump. He doesn't have a sense of humor. There is no comedy show. He's all business. And he has the politics of the most obnoxious base of the supporters of Donald Trump currently. So I will argue, if you got to worry about somebody, you need to worry about Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is the most dangerous person right now, period, hands down, right now for the year 2024. And I don't see how a Democrat could possibly win in the year 2024 with the way that the economy is trying to adjust itself to after COVID. And I'm not defending Democrats, but Joe Biden inherited this mess. It's not even entirely Donald Trump's fault either. This economy happened because of COVID. It happened because of COVID. And now when things are getting back to normal and people are back doing what they were doing with and you had the supply chain problems that's also happening. And then you have instability across the world going on between Russia and Ukraine. And you have the stock market, and you have markets around the world not sure what the hell's going on. It's going to affect the economy everywhere. So for where it stands right now, even in November, it looks pretty damn good for the Republicans, which should give everybody, if you're on the left, a pause for concerns. And we'll be hearing it from the corporate Democrats in November that they are ashamed that they govern too far left when they have never governed too far left. Not at all. Not at all. Democrats haven't governed adequately left of center since the days of Lyndon Johnson. Honestly, I mean, honestly, that's the God honest truth. So anyway, let me conclude by saying, hold on. Let me conclude by saying that if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. Share this channel, this video, and any other video I may have on my channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we're, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and remember, we need to wage class warfare, because crony capitalism has brought us all this income inequality and poverty and the decline of the middle class in this country. So we need to take these people on. So there's no war like the class war, and we need to find an alternative to warfare, because warfare is nothing but a war's racket, promoted by the military-industrial complex, and basically, it's done so to fatten the bank accounts of the military-industrial complex, the defense contractors, rather. We need to fight for equality of all people, equality, no matter who we are, no matter what race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, whatever circumstances of life, we're all equal. And we need to fight for free speech, because when we do, we're defending our own damn free speech. And we need to fight for freedom of the press, because when we do, we're also fighting for the freedom of the press of Julian Assange. And as long as Julian Assange isn't free, none of us are free. Therefore, we're all Julian Assange. I want you to keep that in mind. And until next time, I will conclude by saying to each and every one of you, music. I will probably see you either later on today or tomorrow, folks, depending on how I'm feeling.